All right, we are now broadcasting.
Okay, welcome everybody. We'll call the committee to order at approximately 3 p.m. on Thursday, January the 7th, and ask our secretary to call the roll.
Chairman Ranke.
Present.
Barry Crawl.
Present.
Bruce Hendricks. Absent. Dan Palmer.
Here.
John Getz.
Present.
All right, we have a quorum.
Fantastic. So the first item we have on the agenda, obviously, is the approval of the September 26, 2019 meeting minutes. Is there a motion? I'll entertain a motion to approve those minutes.
Motion to approve. And I'll second those.
Okay, so there's a motion by John and a second by Barry. Is there any discussion? All right, seeing none, we'll now take a vote and ask the clerk to call the roll.
Barry Crawl.
Present.
Bruce Hendricks.
Bruce, you're muted.
Oh, Bruce is muted. Sorry about that. I'm trying to do 3 different things.
Okay, guys, that's the most common question in the world, isn't it? I'm unmuted now. Can you hear me?
That's
Yeah.
right.
Yes.
Sorry, guys. I just got here. It's 3 o'clock, isn't it?
Yeah. I'll
I
mark
feel
that
like
you're present.
I thought we got in late here or something.
Okay, so Bruce, for the motion to approve the minutes,
Oh, that's fine. I approve.
you
That's good.
you approve? Okay. Dan
Yes.
Palmer,
Abstain.
John Getz,
I approve.
Chairman Ranke.
I abstain.
Okay, the motion is passed.
All right, thank you. So before we get into the public comment portion, I wanted to say a few things. I even went so far as to write a little something down, so I made sure I hit all of my points. I am not a long-winded politician. I do not like to give long speeches. I want to keep everything short and to the point. But having said that, this is probably the longest period you're going to hear me talk. So I apologize in advance. I'm very excited to be here. Obviously, 2020 was a difficult year for everybody for so many different reasons. 2021, frankly, isn't looking so hot thus far, but we're working on it. It was particularly a difficult year for the committee. As soon as I found out that Mayor Walz was going to appoint me as the chair, I started talking to members, the village staff, elected officials, about the committee, about where we were headed, what we needed to do. I'm sorry if I haven't had a chance to talk to each of you. I want to make sure we all connect. So I'll give you a call. You give me a call at any time, email, whatever works best for you. So I've learned a lot about what has been working and what hasn't been working. I think clearly we need to make some changes. And obviously it's very easy to say that, and it's very hard to do it. Especially in the context of government, but I'm confident we can do it. And before we get too down about the things that don't work, I want to underscore the fact that we do need to celebrate that Bartlett as a community really has made a great deal of progress to become more bike and pedestrian friendly. When I was first elected in 2013, paths were not a priority. This was not something we were talking about. We would never have a committee like this. When you would talk about bike paths, it was pawned off on, well, that's a Park District issue, or people would snicker or roll their eyes. So you fast forward a few years, and here we are looking at the agenda packet today. You see some very tangible progress. Developers have built paths. IDOT has built a path. Not as much as we would like, certainly not as much as I want, but it's progress nonetheless. Today, when a development project comes before the village board, one of your village trustees will invariably ask about bike paths, pedestrian paths. How are we incorporating that into the development? It's a subtle, but it's a very powerful message. You know, I do a lot of zoning work. I'm in other communities. You don't necessarily see that in other communities. So I think it's a tremendous change. It's not a joke in Bartlett anymore. And you have all been part of this sea change. And I think we need to celebrate that. But moving forward, there's a lot to be excited about. I'm excited about all the things on the agenda. I think that digital bike path map that we're going to hear more about is fantastic. I understand, yes, it's a map, and how excited can you get about a map? But it's a way, I think, for us going forward to focus on maintenance and filling in the gaps. Filling in the gaps, I think, is probably as challenging if you wanted to fill in a small gap as it would be to build 100 miles of paths, across undeveloped land. You know, the case in point is the Ridings East Gap that I'm sure you've heard about, from Schick to Gulfstream around Route 59. That's Zoe's petition, is sometimes it's referred to. I'm sure you've heard about it. It has tremendous support. The mayor and the board are on board. If we could build it today, we would. The problem is the vast majority of that path is outside the village, so we don't have the legal authority to build it, which sounds like one of those government cop-outs, reason why we can't do something instead of a reason why we can do something. It sounds like something an attorney would say, but that's the state of affairs. But once we identify these barriers, we can now then start to devise ways to work around them. We can reach out to IDOT. We can reach out to DuPage County. Each of us has contacts. Each of us has skills that we're bringing. I think we can, each use a productive voice and make some progress. I'm not a patient person. It's slow, it's frustrating, but it is a process. And I know that we can be successful. I'm not naive. I know sometimes we're going to fail. Sometimes we're not going to be able to surmount a hurdle. But, I'm a process guy. So I think that, we need to figure out how we're going to prioritize a project or two, identify the specific issues, and then develop a plan to resolve them. I think we could do this as a committee. Certainly the staff is invaluable in this. And if we think that the project is doable, let's start, drilling down. What I want to avoid is, and I'm sure, you've encountered, I've talked to you folks, some of you individually about this, is, pointing a finger someplace and saying, well, we need to build a bike path there, pointing a finger and saying we need to build a path there. That isn't going to magically grow a path. This is a process, and we've got to figure out how to, how to make some progress. And it frustrates the public. It frustrates us. It frustrates everyone, because when you do that, there's so much undone and so much that's not possible that we're not focusing on the things that we have done and that we really can done. So it's my hope that in the coming months and years, as I wind up and shut up, that we're going to work together and move forward. Looking in the packet, again, there's some great opportunities for 2021 and beyond. And I really look forward to working with all of you. And so now I'll shut up. And let's open it up to public comment. And if I'm going to ask that if any member of the public has something to say, that they would, keep the length of their comments modest and focused, so we can make some progress here. So thank you very much, and thank you for indulging me.
Okay. Terry Witt.
Okay. Yeah, hey, glad to have a meeting. I'm just going to go down the agenda with a couple of points. One, on approving minutes, I would ask if minutes for this meeting and future meetings couldn't be posted provisionally on the website, at least until they are approved, and identify them as provisional. That'll give people a chance to kind of review and stay up to date with where all of the thought process is going on. I'd like to congratulate and thank Tyler for his great bike path maintenance recap. Redoing the path along Stearns was really a good one to incorporate that as part of the water project. It used to be a lumpy path, and now it's really nice. It goes all the way from Lake Street actually to Munger Road now. That was good. And the grant updates that Tyler gave. I think that CMAP grant for a bike plan is really critical and probably the most important thing we can do in 2021. So I look forward to that one. That's a good one. Bike rack parking. Everybody likes to have their bike where they left it when they go into a store and come out again. So bike rack parking is great for security. Demet did a nice job on his bikeway maps update. That West Stearns Road, the 2 warehouses that got built there, that gets that bike route out to the state park a little bit closer to being finished, which eventually is going to be a real nice one. Route 59, my 2 granddaughters that live over there in Woodland Hills want to thank IDOT for putting that in so they can meet with their friends over at Starbucks and be out of earshot of their parents. So that's a good one. West Bartlett Road, that's a good one too. Recently, I sent a request to the Northwest Suburban Municipal Conference to include West Bartlett Road as part of the Evanston to Elgin corridor. By becoming part of that corridor and in that plan, it adds to our ability to get grant funds for different bike projects, because the more recognized that our plans are, the easier it is to get those grants, and grants money is freeing up, and that's good. Eastfield subdivision over there by the high school. I know the township, Wayne Township, has been working with Bartlett a long time. They wanted to build a side path on Klein Road that would connect us all the way to the Illinois Prairie Path, and that would get us a little bit closer. So I just want to say, good job. Thanks. Makes riding a bicycle a lot of fun. And the final thing, it's not on the agenda, but I was reading about the traffic calming in the paper that the village board talked about. And Aaron, that's really a good idea, especially doing some testing. I would suggest that power line crossing on South Bartlett Road at the stables would be a good place to do some traffic calming measures. I think everybody who drives down that road has frequently seen kids standing there waiting for the cars to pass. And one of these days, one of those kids is going to think they can run faster than a car can drive. So if we can calm that traffic, that would be a good thing. And the final thing is a kudos to the police for their holiday campaigns. They've been very effective. So that's my thing. Thank you.
Thanks, Terry. I appreciate your comment. Is there anybody else? We're getting a lot of feedback. Is everybody else getting feedback too?
Yes.
Okay. I never know if it's
There's
just
too
me.
many people unmuted.
Okay.
I say mute unless you're talking.
I think you have 2 microphones. It's coming in through your phone.
Okay.
Hey, Christy, can you mute yourself and let's see if it still works?
Let me see if I disconnect. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, does anyone else from the audience, the attendees, does anyone want to speak? If you do, please raise your hand. Don't see anybody else.
Okay, let's start with old and new business then, the status report on the bike path maintenance. We see the memo from Tyler.
Hello.
Looks like some stuff here. Is there anybody that has questions or wants to discuss this?
I guess just to reiterate what's in the memo, we did repave Wallace Court path from the end of the cul-de-sac to the school. And so that was the big one we did this year. Still working with MWRD on the path on West Bartlett Road right in front of the village church. That's actually just went out to bid yesterday. So
Wow.
we'll hear back. The bid opening for that is in a few weeks on February 3rd, so we'll know where we're at with that. And we are currently looking into, when weather improves, on doing some patching and repaving on the Bartlett Trail and the ComEd easement. And that's as far as this year so far is the plan.
Thanks, Tyler. I didn't realize you were here, so I apologize for not reaching out there. Do we have an idea about when the Village Church of Bartlett path may break ground?
So the hope, as long as everything goes in well and MWRD approves everything we receive, because they're funding a portion of it, so we have to go through all their regulations. The hope would be break ground probably in May, and it should take approximately 6 weeks to complete.
Oh, wow. That's great.
So let's hope they like what we get.
So is that being funded by the Village of Bartlett, or wasn't there a grant that we got for that? It's the Village Church path, correct?
Yeah, so we're funding it up front, and then a third of it is being reimbursed back to us by MWRD through their green infrastructure funding.
Okay. So what's the anticipated total cost of that? Is that over the $40,000 budget that the village has?
Yeah, this is separate.
Oh, it is. Okay. Oh, so is there a plan for the $40,000 annually that the village has beyond the village church?
This is Dan Dinges. It's the ComEd right-of-way stuff that we're going to start working on. ComEd
Okay.
path.
Because wasn't that just done last year, the ComEd right away?
We've done the stretch south of, well, that's actually the pipeline. We did not complete the ComEd right-of-way stuff yet, so we're going to start picking that up.
Okay.
Any other questions? Okay. Well, thanks, Tyler. Let's move on to the next item. DuPage Forest Preserve District update.
Hi, everyone. I'm Jessica Ortega with the Forest Preserve District of DuPage County.
Thanks.
And I asked Mark Decker to come here today with me as well. He's managing the Mwrd Road Trail Project, the North Central DuPage Regional Trail Connector. And I was hoping, Mark, you'd be able to give an update, kind of what's transpired, what the schedule looks like.
Sure. So we actually just had a meeting yesterday with DuPage County, a pre-application meeting for a stormwater permit for this project. We are anticipating going out for the IDOT letting on September 17 of this year. So we're working with our consultant to prepare the final plans. So we're looking to start construction at the end of this year. I can answer any questions about the project. It's the same alignment as we presented at previous meetings, from Forest Preserve Drive down to the connection of the Illinois Prairie Path. One other thing of note, we did meet with DuPage DOT and we revised the connection to the Prairie Path just north of Smith Road in the village of Wayne. We decided to reduce the impact to the Prairie Path and also maintain the Prairie Path as the dominant trail, we're going to connect north of Smith Road instead of making it a T intersection and modify the crossing of Smith Road. So I can answer any questions about that project.
What is letting? You said September 11th, or September 17th?
So the letting is when IDOT puts the project out to get bids from contractors. So IDOT is handling the bidding process for this project because we have federal funds involved.
And then September 17th, that's almost fall already. We're still going to break ground this year, you think?
They're going to do what they can. They'll probably do some of the advanced work as far as clearing and tree removals and getting silt fence set up. They'll probably get started with a bulk of the work in the spring.
Okay, great.
And we're anticipating it being completed within the next year by the end of 2022.
Great, fantastic. Can't wait.
It's been a long time. We finally got past the bees.
Yeah. Yeah. My only other comment for the Forest Reserve is just to thank you guys for the Dunham Woods trail that went in through Wayne to, or I think it's Dunham Woods, right? That connects the for the technology corridor.
Yep, that's right.
What a fantastic addition. It's about a mile long. It's great. It takes you through areas you'd never have walked in the past. So it's fantastic. Love it. Thank you very much.
Great. Glad you enjoy it.
To the rest of the team.
Great. Is there any other questions for the Park District? Or I'm sorry, the Forest Preserve District?
I had one, Chris. It's Bruce Hendricks speaking. I've mentioned this before. This might fall in the category of new business, but we're Hawk Hollow Trail transitions from Struckman to County Farm Road. The people that use that, it's frequently used. It's a wonderful path, but there's no place to park initially to the south end of that trail. Certainly on the north end either, actually the west end. Sort of runs south to west, I guess, at the ultimate end of it. I always thought it'd be people always park in the street there. It seemed like that's kind of a hazard, and it'd be so easy to put a little gravel parking area there for the people that utilize that path with their dogs and their bikes and everything else. But I mentioned it before, it just seemed like it may have to go through this chain of command and this delay thing with regards to approving it. I know everything, it takes time, but that would be a wonderful improvement for that trail.
Yeah, thank you for your comment. We did just approve a district-wide master plan back at the end of 2019, and a big effort that we're going to see coming out of that is redoing master plans for all of our preserves. So that would be a great time to take a look at those kind of suggestions and see what the different impacts might be. And definitely we'll keep that in mind as we move forward in that process. So thank you for that comment.
All righty, thank you.
All right, well, thank you very much. We'll move on to the Park District update.
Hi, my name is Kim Dasbach, and I'm the Superintendent of Recreation with the Bartlett Park District. Myself and Kelly O'Brien, our Superintendent of Parks, usually trade off attending meetings, and at this point, we do not have an update unless anyone has any questions for us today.
Well, you might want a heads up. Somebody at the village board meeting on Tuesday night started talking about plowing the snow from the paths. And of course, there was a discussion that, so we maintain, some, the park district maintains some. So you may get a call if you haven't already, or an email from somebody about that particular issue.
All right. Was it a particular area or anything park district wise, or just more in general? Just in general. Okay, thank you very much.
Yeah, and Mr. Dinges is on, and he's his crews they do a fair amount of that, but I'm assuming you're going to have a conversation about that moving forward.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right. Well, thank you very much. Grant updates.
Alrighty, so as it says in the packet. I'm just going to kind of go down the list because actually I got an update on the CMAP one today. So this one's been kind of sitting out there for a while. It's been a long time, and then COVID restrictions really slowed it down. So I heard back from our grant liaison today, and they actually have selected a consultant, and they're securing a contract currently, and she's meeting with their procurement team tomorrow. So hopefully I'll get more of an update. It looks like things are finally going to actually start rolling on that, which would be a huge help. That's the grant with Streamwood. It'd be an overall master plan for both municipalities.
Well, that's fantastic.
And so I guess before I go on, does anyone have any questions about that one, or?
I do. So at one point there was talk of establishing a committee of elected officials and planning team between both Streamwood and Bartlett, and also bringing in members of the public to sit in that committee. Is there still talk of doing that? Because I volunteered.
That's part of the plan. So that was in the scope of work that we would.
Part of the plan. Okay.
Yes. So it's not just a consultant coming in and telling us what they think we should do. It is public input, a lot of civic engagement to get input from everybody, a lot of stakeholders. You will be very involved in that, all of you, everyone that's a member.
All right. I like it. Thank you.
Yeah, if you're familiar with the TOD plan that the village did, I guess it's probably very similar to that.
Great. Looking forward to that starting.
So, and if there's no other questions, this one's been sitting out there for a while from the capital bill. It was $115,000 to improve all the curb cuts downtown to make them ADA compliant. Put in a few new mid-block crossings that were recommended in the TOD plan, and add the high visibility crosswalk markings. There's been, other than initially hearing that it was in there, there has been no word. So I'm not overly confident with hearing from that one anytime soon, but it is out there.
I had a question, follow up on that, if I might. The Illinois grant, I guess I'm trying to understand generally how these are going to apply, and if they're going to remain real once it's mentioned. I heard the governor was sweeping a lot of these things. I heard he was sweeping things such as park district grants too, and I didn't know you could do that, or if the article I read was mistaken. So just generally, how does dedicated grants work? And then specifically, if you've heard anything forward, what the grant situation looks like. Is it federal money? Is it state money? Et cetera, et cetera.
So this was state money, I believe. Okay.
Would they be able to sweep that money, as I've heard they've been doing, given their financial crunch?
They can, if they, similar to what happened a few years ago with Governor Rauner, who put a just moratorium on all grants. They can do the same thing if need be. So it was allocated, and then COVID hit.
Does it change once some kind of construction were to begin, like some of the projects we've done? If we put a shovel in the ground and it started, does that change any of that?
So if we started construction, are you saying?
Yes.
That's kind of go at your own risk. I've been told before in other ones that you can try, but yeah, there's no guarantee you might not get any of it.
All right, thank you.
Yep.
So there's no one in particular that we can lean on other than, well, the governor.
Right, and we talked to our lobbyist and see if there's any updates, but so far I haven't heard anything.
Okay. That's a shame.
Yeah.
Tyler, this is just a generic question. Has your communication, 2020 was a very difficult, interesting year. Has your communication with the state of Illinois on these grant issues been slower than normal? Have they been routine as normal? Have you noticed any difference in their actions?
I would definitely say it's been slowed. Probably across the board.
Thank you.
Yep. If there's no other questions on that one, I already mentioned the MWRD Green Infrastructure Grant. As mentioned, they're covering 1/3 of the cost. Project's hopefully starting in May, as long as MWRD approves everything once bids come in. Yeah, hopefully we get a good price on that, but looking forward to having that one complete. That was the one we initially had design work paid for through the Invest in Cook grant, which I've applied for every year since because they initially said they'd like to fund projects all the way through, and they've never funded it since. Almost majority of their funding goes to Chicago, but that's the biggest surprise there. So I guess from there on, the DuPage mayors and managers bike rack grant. This one is a multi-jurisdictional grant. Elmhurst is the lead on it, and currently it just went through a state letting, and for us it'll be a bike shelter and 11 bike racks that we'll be installing. Most of them will be in the downtown area, but a few we have going to Kohler Field and Rosika. But there was a issue with the bidding, because at first there wasn't any, and now we had one. So costs weren't ideal, but I think the funding gap got covered. And once I hear a definitive on that, I'll send an update. So if there's any questions on this one.
No. Well, thanks a lot, Tyler.
Hey, Chris, I had an item on that, the bike racks. I'm down here in Pensacola currently, and they have these colorful bike racks here that are really interesting looking. I mentioned this before, but those old gray, green, granite bike racks that you see at the schoolyard that's 1,000 years old, I think those are the ones we're getting, aren't they? Seem like they could, something that's got a little life to it, you know, different colors or something.
They're not the basic, just ones like that, but they are, and they're nothing overly fancy, I would say, but they're a little more decorative than your average.
They're black, I think.
So how much of that grant, I thought that grant was for the shelters, not the bike racks. I thought the bike racks were coming from the park district. Am I mistaken?
No, it was for both.
It was both, okay.
Mm-hmm.
And how many shelters? There's only 2 shelters though, right?
1 shelter.
Oh, 1 shelter, and that's for the train station, okay. Gotcha, thank you.
All right, thank you. Next is discussion of bike crossing signs.
I can cover this. Dan Dinges. I'm working with the police department on that. We don't typically put, I mean, there's 37 locations, I think. The intent would not be to put a bike crossing sign at every intersection, but we are going to look at freshening up paint marks, whether it's stop bars, crosswalks, that type of stuff. And talking with Eric Rogers in the PD, there's a couple intersections that he thought would warrant additional signage, but we're looking at each location and we'll to try to address some of that stuff within the next year.
Are there any particular locations that we really need to hit?
From what Eric Roger was saying, one on South Bartlett and Struckman, I believe. The east leg of that, and up at Devon and West Bartlett were the two ones that he is aware of some issues, but as far as hitting every single bike crossing, that's a lot of signage that you start to overload, and it just becomes kind of the background. People don't pay attention to it. So. But we will definitely look at the. I know that there's a lot of pricing that is necessary. I was starting to go through some of it that could get freshened up when weather permits.
Are you talking about just the standard diamond-shaped, picture of a bicycle with the word Xing?
Right. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
All right. Well, thank you very much. Let's talk about the next item, the development project updates.
Devin, are you there?
I'm here.
Okay, can you go over each of the 4 additions that we have?
Sure. So as you can see on the map, there's the section at Stearns and Munger, which was completed. That one was completed by the developer of that subdivision over there. The Route 59 section shown by letter B there was completed by IDOT. And then we also have 2 sections here in these updates for along West Bartlett Road, letter C there, that is to be completed, as well as the Eastfield subdivision, the developer is to complete that as well.
So I have a question regarding B, because that dovetails into our, my previous mention of the Gulfstream ship path. Do we know why IDOT didn't continue with the path further north?
That improvement was done with the Army Trail intersection improvement, and their limit stopped at Schick, so that's why they didn't continue north.
Makes sense. Is there a particular point person we could talk to at IDOT about starting an extension there?
Yeah, we can. I mean, the district engineer, we would start discussions with them on that. Typically, they wait till they're doing a road project that they would add it in there, but yeah, we can bring it up.
Well, only, and the reason why I ask is because, I worked with, I spent a lot of time talking to Marty McManaman, and I haven't talked to anybody at DuPage County yet, but it seems even if IDOT wasn't going to do the actual construction, there's enough of a coalition between everybody else that we might be able to make it happen. But IDOT, I don't know if IDOT's going to let us do that. I don't know if IDOT would insist on doing the work. I just don't know. And so there's so many unknowns at this point, but got to start somewhere, right?
Yeah. Yeah, we can talk to them and find out. I mean, if, like I said, they like to do it when they're doing the road. But if we, as you suggested, if we were to get the village, Wayne Township, whoever, to join in and kind of do just a road bike path project, then it would be permitting through IDOT. It likely would have to be on their right of way because we don't have jurisdiction for a portion of it. But if it's within their right of way, it would probably be a job that we'd be working through with them.
Yeah, and I'd like to see how we could pursue it. I was getting emails from the director of RIDE Illinois, and you know, we started talking about contacting IDOT, but there wasn't an individual identified. You know, and if I have a stupid question, I don't mind asking a stupid question, but I'd like to know if there's someone who I should ask that stupid question to.
Yeah, right. Well, I recently heard that the district engineer is either retired or is retiring, so that may be changing as well. So, but I'll find out where we should direct those questions to.
That's great, and maybe give me a call or shoot me an email, whatever works best for you. I know you're busy.
Sure.
At least until the next snowstorm.
Yeah.
Any other questions about the bikeway updates?
This is John. I've got a question pertaining to item C with the West Bartlett Road by Route 25. Now, it's my understanding that the developer is going to build that path from the existing, where it terminates now at, I forgot the name of the street.
Southwind,
and then go west towards 25. Is there going to be a crosswalk there, or the lighted signs, buttons? And also on the west side of that, there's about, and this is before, so there's literally about 20 feet that they needed to complete. That it basically terminated the path where that subdivision is in South Elgin. Is there any plans or goals to sync that up? Because that crosswalk and those little stub connections are really what's needed to make that complete.
I agree. One of the pieces of the puzzle that, again, IDOT is involved with that intersection. So it has to be coordinated with them, and then the developer, and cost breakout from there.
Because, yeah, I mean,
but I agree. It needs to have a pedestrian crossing there for sure.
Yeah, because that's a dangerous intersection. It's considered really county road. There's no sidewalks there, and to put a sidewalk in there, a crosswalk, I think we're asking for trouble there.
Right.
So can we talk to the IDOT as well on that? As long as, while we're talking with IDOT about the 59, this would be a much shorter piece. But obviously the crosswalk would be, expensive. But I guess we can crosswalk at Schick and 59 as well. So.
Right. We were already in discussions with IDOT on the 25 in West Bartlett because they had improved of resurfacing Route 25 on the books.
Okay.
But then with COVID and budget cuts, they ended up doing the portion up north in Elgin, cut our portion out for now. So we were trying to get them to improve, to make that improvement. And, they never committed to anything because it was just a resurfacing project. But we thought at that time would be the time to put in the crossing. Then you need to do the cross ped signals and all that stuff. So it got more involved than what their project was. So it kind of got put on hold at this point. So we'll continue with them though.
Okay, I get you. And I understand that. But maybe now that they know that we're extending that path.
Right. That's what we told them. We had two development, before when they were doing the resurfacing project, there was nothing there. The development on the west wasn't going, and we didn't have the gas station wasn't approved yet. We told them that, hey, we got developers that are going to build it to right away of 25. We need to complete that connection. So we've started it, and we'll continue to work with them and see how we can make that work.
Okay, great. Thank you. That'd be great.
Oh, and Dan, also feel free if you need to tap me. I'm happy to call. I mean, I'm nobody, but I can help. I can be useful.
Sure.
So let me know, and I'm happy to do that. And let me know if I'm supposed to be nice or mean.
No problem.
Okay. All right, and our beautiful digital bike path map.
All right. So I do not know if you are aware that on the village website, we have a maps page. So if you go to How Do I and go to maps, we have a number of interactive maps that anyone can access. The one we're going to focus on today is obviously Bartlett Bikeways. So this is very similar to what you just saw with Devin's presentation. However, this is interactive. So you can zoom in to a particular area and you can see the proposed route that we've been talking about a lot today along 59 between Schick. So it says that it's proposed by the Village of Bartlett. They did not update this one like they were supposed to earlier today. You could see, it gives you what the length of the segments are to help you plan. So this segment of the North Central Regional Trail that we have mapped is 6.5 miles long, just to where we have it end. It goes all the way to Bussey Woods. So it has all the completed parts. It shows the schools, it shows the park sites. I have to find the link I had before from Reach. Let me see. I apologize. I was told this one was going to be up because we are updating it based on conversations we've had today to include some of the reasons why the segments have not been completed. So I'm pulling up, let's see.
Well, and while Christy's doing that, that's part of the reason why I mentioned, my opening, monologue, my diatribe, if you will, that there are reasons why we haven't filled in these gaps. And I think that's great information. And as soon as we start looking at that, we'll be able to better evaluate it as a committee and start thinking about how we do this and not just tell Dan or Christy to call somebody, but, we can all get on the horn and start harassing IDOT.
All right, let's see. So GIS must be working on this as we speak because one of the layers isn't loading. But for example, this one says the village has had bike paths installed on private property in easements during the subdivision process. The remaining segment is unincorporated. The construction of the path would be a condition in an annexation agreement and subdivision approval. IDOT would construct the path in the right-of-way if a road construction project occurs in this location, as they did along Route 59 from Schick to Army Trail. So I think this is very beneficial because it helps explain why we have the gaps. So we would love to be able to fill all these in immediately. Unfortunately, as we've discussed at meetings, all the easy things we've done. That's why we have a really great network existing. But we do have gaps and we do need to address them. A lot of the proposed paths that you see on the map are not necessarily paths. We're going to call them bikeways because it may be on street routes, maybe a bike lane. These were proposed as part of the Wayne Township Bikeways Plan. It only addresses the DuPage County portion of the village. There wasn't a lot of public input as far as getting stakeholders. So we want to make sure we have a plan, we have a methodology for determining which roads should have a signed bike route, which ones could have possibly a bike lane. We want to be consistent throughout the village. So that's why we haven't started adopting any of these or signing anything. We are hoping to incorporate all of those types of bikeways in the CMAP bike plan. So we want to be consistent, we want public input, and we want to address the entire village, not just a portion of it. So some of these paths or the proposed lines may change as we're going through the process. But I don't want people to think that we don't want to have any routes or bikeways in Cook County because that's simply not the case. So this is a great starting point. I recommend you look at this, look at the map, see what the reasonings are. Some of it, people are surprised that the segment on West Bartlett Road between Spitzer and Lakewood Mill subdivision, that's the city of Elgin. So we have gaps like that make making connections significantly harder. But we are doing a good job. We're very excited. CMAP wanted to start having bi-weekly meetings with the Village of Bartlett as well as the Village of Streamwood. So we are kept more up to date now that we have a consultant selected. So there will be a lot of progress. I do anticipate you'll be getting many more emails from us instead of kind of having the silence or just emails here and there in between our quarterly meetings. So do anticipate hearing from us significantly more than you're used to.
Is there a list of the paths, or you just have to find the dotted line and highlight it?
You click on it. So any of the lines are clickable as you zoom in.
Yeah.
If you want to change the base maps, you could change it to the imagery, which is an aerial, which I like. The only thing I don't like about the base map is it doesn't have the street layers, but we have, or the street names, but we have no control over that on the base maps. But it does kind of show you further along on, this is one of the locations that there's a huge gap is north of Granger Road, in between Granger and Struckman.
Yep.
So we've had discussions the entire 18 years I've been at the village with the Forest Preserve of different ways that maybe we can try to route different path options. And this is a really difficult location due to the soils, due to the railroad crossing. Something that, you know, many agencies have looked at this. It's part of the DuPage County Bikeways Plan as well. So I think moving forward, once we have this plan in place and once we really start encouraging public engagement and getting more input, that this plan's going to change. This map will change. And I think that's exciting because we have to look at things and say what's practical, what isn't, and come up with a set of criteria on how we want to do things moving forward. So I'm excited to have on-street routes. We've never really done that before in the village in my time here. It's a long time coming, so I'm excited for it.
Any of the proposed trails that do not fall within someone else's jurisdiction, meaning IDOT or Wayne Township, or is there any of these trails that simply it's either park district land or village land that would that be a higher on the priority list because it's low-hanging fruit, so to speak, or did you say we covered all those?
Right.
I would say pretty much everything that is purely Village of Bartlett would be some of the routes, the proposed routes that are by Wayne Township recommended them on village roads. So they would be our jurisdiction. But again, we felt that since it's only addressing a portion of the village and we don't know how they made their determinations, that it kind of sets a precedent that we don't really have guidance on what we're doing. I would much rather us say, as a group, say this is why we decide which roads get a route, whether there's no parking on street, depending on the pavement width. We want to have all those factors determined so that we can give people answers when they ask us, why does this road have one and mine doesn't?
Mm-hmm. Understood. So the Village of Wayne, where they've recommended an on-street path, what's the barrier there? Is it just a matter of striping a bike lane in and putting signs up, or more to it than that?
For Wayne Township?
Well, no, if you said Wayne Township came up with the plan, but it's on a Village of Bartlett road. Does that mean the Village of Bartlett has to stripe a bike lane?
Yes. So Wayne Township came up for a plan with the entire township. It's the first time I am aware of a township coming up with a plan. Oftentimes you'll see something from the county level. So this is a little unusual. this is a little unusual, and they recommendations for our streets. The first time I was invited to a meeting on that was there was already a plan drafted. I had never gone to any of the public hearings on or public meetings on the drafting of the plan. I think it's a good plan. They worked with CMAP to get it done. So it's a very similar process as what we're going to be going through. But again, it's only a portion of the village. So they made recommendations and we don't know what their reasoning was.
Gotcha. Okay. Did you include the Lake Street corridor? I know Route 20 has a separate corridor all in and of itself that's being planned by Cook County. Oh yeah, there you go.
Yeah, we do have it all up there. It's part of IDOT's plans for the future as they do improvements. And one of the things, I know we've adopted a complete streets policy. So has IDOT. Because of those complete streets policies are why we have the bike path that runs on the east side of Route 59 while they were doing those intersection improvements. The same thing with what we have down with the Army Trail Road improvements. So those complete streets policies make a huge difference with construction projects.
Yep.
Even the 7-Eleven that's at the corner of North Bartlett and Lake Street, because they needed to do work and get curb cuts onto those two roads. The Cook County has jurisdiction over North Bartlett Road. IDOT has jurisdiction over Lake Street. They required that the developer put in sidewalks. IDOT didn't want to do a bike path segment at this time. They just figured, let's do a sidewalk. And when they redo the entire street, that's when they'll put in the bike path. But if we didn't have the complete streets policy, that's not something that they would have been able to ask for as easily.
All right, good job. Looks great. Look forward to play around with it.
And then we also have on there a ready to print map. We have a new Bartlett Bikeways map that's 11 by 17 that people could print out or come into the village and get a copy of, so that they have, some people still like paper maps. Not everyone's digital. So we do have that. We haven't updated this. We hadn't updated this probably in about 4 years. So I think it's really sleek. I'm really happy with our GIS division. They're fantastic. And you're going to start seeing more and more interactive maps from us going forward.
Christy, what's the plan? This is a great map, very interactive. It looks like excellent job. What's the plan to market this to people in Bartlett so they can see this and give input, which is critical?
For when we do the bike plan, or just getting the word out that we have the map available?
Both.
So typically when we do add something to the map hub, we post that on Facebook, on some of the email blasts to get the word out. We might put it in the BART letter. I know a lot of people get that. So we do what we can that way. Facebook, Twitter, I think it's great. I just got an email today for a webinar on public engagement online. And it's actually looking at a bikeway plan that happened, I want to say, in South Carolina. So it's very timely that I got the invite to that today, just a couple hours ago. So online engagement takes off, lessons from bikeway study in, let me move this, in North Carolina. So I'm going to be attending that on Thursday, the 21st. I'm hoping that gives us some really good ideas on how we can get people engaged, because plans, you want to be making plans for people that are going to use it. It's very easy for me to draw lines on a map and say, here, this is what we should do. That's not what we want. We want input. We want to see what destinations do people have? Where do you want to be able to go? So getting input is vital to the plan being successful. So it's something that we definitely want to have a lot of public engagement on.
Great, thanks.
I'll second that. Looks good. Looking forward to its further development.
So I'll send links to these maps as well, so you have a direct link, so you can play with those.
Thanks so much. This is beautiful. I think this is going to be really So who all on the staff level worked on this?
So I worked on it, and then Steven Spradling and Ricci, oh, I don't know her last name, I feel horrible. Ricci Lucas. She's a newer employee as well, but our GIS staff is fantastic. And we have, I think you guys are going to be excited when you see the kind of maps that we're able to incorporate going forward.
Are you able to add a layer for the tax parcels? Like, I know, like if I have an issue in Kane County or in DuPage, I can pull up the GIS and see the tax parcels. Sometimes that's helpful to me if I'm looking at who owns what land. Is that something we have access to, or would I have to go external for that?
On our hub, we have, let's see, do we have, I believe we have a parcel viewer. Let's see. Do we not? I know we have one internally. We do have links to each of the counties' viewers.
Okay.
So one of the problems that we have is that being in 3 different counties sometimes makes getting all of their data kind of, it's not fun to try to merge everything into the same schema.
No. Not each one of their systems works either.
I have some that are my favorites.
Yes, agreed. Well, you see where I'm going with this. Someone, you know, again, we're talking about pointing fingers, drawing lines. Oh, let's put in a path here. Well, you know, one of the threshold inquiries is who owns that land? You know, yes, there's the jurisdiction issue, but then who owns it? Are we talking about an individual homeowner that we're going to have to go across their front yard? Is it the park district? Is it so I think that, you know, for me, that's been an issue a couple of times, but this is fantastic information and good work to everybody.
I will pass that along to them. Thank you.
So is there anything more from the committee? All right. So our next meeting is March the 25th. Is that also going to be at 3 p.m.?
Yes.
Okay. I'm looking forward to it, and we'll have, I think, hopefully some more stuff to talk about.
Yeah, I'm hoping we'll have a big update on the CMAP grant.
Great.
Hey, this is John. Just one more comment. One of the things that I would, you know, in the beginning, Aaron, first of all, welcome. We've all had a chance to talk to you, but welcome to the committee. One of the things I'd like to see going forward more is at the village board is maybe just a quick 1-2 minute recap of what was conducted at these meetings, just to expose what we're doing and to make it visible. You know, hey, there's a bike committee. So I think that's one thing, you know, I'd like to see as a takeaway. You know, again, nothing fancy. Hey, this is what we're working on. This is what we're doing. Feel free to attend, you know, the dedicated bike run committee meeting.
Yeah, no, I think that's a great comment. And I was technically appointed and approved on Tuesday night. I said, well, this is great. You know, I've got some ideas, and we're meeting on Thursday. And you know, and I threatened them that they would be hearing more from me, you know, in terms of follow up, and I'm happy to share some of the things that we've done and some exciting stuff with the board. And like you said, 1 or 2 sentences just to raise that awareness, the fact that we're out here, we're doing things. I know that, you know, even when obviously I wasn't the chair, but I appreciate the fact that you folks were working. I get it, you know, and I think everybody does. I think there's, as certain people have come and gone You see people now are much more receptive and much more interested in bike and run. So I can see a day when things have really changed.
Okay, good, thank you.
You know, this is Bruce. You know, Chris, now, and Christy, that map is outstanding. I tell you, I think we're all obviously excited about that. That's a wonderful improvement on the website. But, you know, I wanted to throw in the idea about, we missed that community event, the Kickstand Classic. We got so much positive feedback on biking interest and community involvement with bikes. And we canceled that out because for some reason we couldn't afford it. You know, I don't know why Bartlett can't structure that and take care of that and make it happen and make it a yearly event for biking interest.
I know, Aaron, you can probably shed some light on that. I thought it was one of, they weren't making enough money off it.
Right. Yeah, that was not a village decision. The Kickstand Classic is what we're talking about. There was a little bit of crosstalk. Yeah. So it was a sponsoring organization, simply wasn't making enough. You know, we did try to sweeten the pie, but it just didn't work for them. And then they weren't going to sponsor it. And without their involvement, unless we were going to pay and hire them, it's not going to happen. It just wouldn't work. But I would certainly be open if there's another event like that, and hopefully there will be one day.
Yeah, maybe in a post-COVID world, you know, what if Bartlett tried to organize something on their own without the Active Transportation Alliance? Yeah,
that's definitely something.
Or like the, you know, what's that Orchard Run, that 5K run that puts on every year? Similar concept, right? We don't need that organization to make money on it. We just need to get the community together.
Right.
So just a couple of thoughts. I think probably a post-COVID discussion for sure.
Yeah, John, that's excellent. You know, Terry Witt is, God bless him, he's tried for years to organize groups. He would have some insights on the issues with regards to trying to make that happen.
Yeah, and I know we talked at the board level. We've talked about all different kinds of community events, whether, you know, it's an active event like, you know, biking or running, or food, or even, you know, an alcohol, like a beer type of thing. And, you know, it's challenging because the village in and of itself can't really do it. It's got to be a partnership. Somebody else has to be involved. You know, if it's all the restaurants, if it's the Bartlett Lions Club, which is a great organization, go Lions, you know, whatever organization, you need that partner, you know, even if the park district in the village, we're going to work together. You need that third party out there with that connection and that network. Doesn't mean that it can't or won't happen. And like I said, I think at some point it will, but there's definitely a challenge there. I mean, we've talked about countless events. We've talked about a blues and barbecue event for years, for maybe 7, 8 years now. And we just, you know, we can't get that critical mass. You know, about 4 of us, guys would show up and, you know, smoke a brisket and eat the thing. But you need more than that. Otherwise, it doesn't make any sense. It's not attractive, and it's a loser. And once you're a loser, you're always a loser. And so if we have that event, it's got to go pretty well that first time around. But we're definitely still always talking about it. And if anybody happens upon an organization that they think, you know, could partner up with us, let's do it. Let's try to make it work.
Sounds good, Chris. I agree. We got to get some help on that. But I know it'd be easy once you got it organized, probably.
Sure. Sure. All right. Well, it was great seeing everybody. I wish we could have been in the same room, but it's nice not to wear a mask. So I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Motion to adjourn?
Yes. I'll second that.
Okay, so looks like we've got a motion by Dan, a second by Bruce. With the secretary, Ms. Stone, please call the roll.
Barry Crawl,
Agree, yes.
Okay. Bruce Hendricks,
Yes.
Dan Palmer,
Yes.
John Getz,
Yes.
Chairman Ranky.
Yes.
All right, meeting is adjourned. Thank you
Thanks so
very
much.
much.
Buddy.
Thanks, guys.
Happy New
Excellent.
Year.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Bye.